Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to ISRC TV for the final round of the Porsche Cup Championship. This time we're venturing into Germany to the infamous Nurburgring Nordschleife. Two 20-minute races, as always, will satisfy us in the TV screen, and those drivers out on track today. We're expecting about 3 laps from all of our competitors out on track today, as it will be taking roughly 8 minutes for cars to be doing each and every lap. But my name is Isaac Barclay, and joining me in the commentary booth today is Martin Pearson, and on cameras Vincent Evers. Hello, guys.
Good evening, Isaac. Good evening, everyone. It's going to be a fantastic evening. I can't wait for this. We've got Porsches, we've got the Nordschleife. I mean, come on, what more could you want?
GT3R.
Well, okay, we've got it too now. Well, we have been batting this idea around for season 2. And there's been absolutely no planning of that so far. So, yes, that's something that could happen. Well, watch this space.
Exactly. I've driven this car recently. It's big news coming to iRacing. That and the Red Bull Ring, and 8 cars have been added. Let us know in chat if you guys have tried out the Porsche GT3R and what you guys think of it, and if you'd like to see it in the next sprint series. And while you're down there, make sure you guys like and subscribe, because YouTube stuff, and I don't know, like, apparently you're supposed to say those kind of things, but yes,
we're professional like us.
Yeah, we're very, very professional. But we've got 2 minutes and 30 seconds left of practice before we advance through into qualifying. Instead of going for our normal 8 minutes and 2 laps, because the track is so long, obviously being 28 kilometers in length, we've got 20 minutes and 2 laps, which will be advanced forward, so we haven't got that awkward lulling about for 15 minutes at the end of qualifying before we get through into what will be spectacular 20-minute races. Like I said in the intro, it should last about 3 laps each, and yeah, it'll be cracking racing. It always is at always is in the Porsche Cup Championships, and then when you bring it to the Nords as well, it's gonna be so good. I can't wait.
Yes, we've got Niels Lepers on screen at the moment from Jim and Sim Racing Friends. He's just heading up towards the Caracciola carousel for a last bit of practice. So Nanzavano was the leader in the 3 practice sessions, so we had 2 3-hour practice sessions, and Nanzavano setting a blistering lap time of 8:24, I believe it was, or it was an 8:19, sorry, it was an 8:19 he set, and Kevin Vermont, also of Mecha Esport, was in second position, but a whole 5 seconds back. Crazy amount of grip out there for the Mecha Esport guys in practice.
It is. I think that's partially down to the early timing in the morning in Sim. At the moment, it's currently 6:30 in the morning, and by the time we finish this whole event, it'll be before 9 o'clock in game time, so the track will be nice and cool and grippy for all of these drivers out there today. But like you're saying, Nanzavano fastest in free practice, but it's not showing through into the races. He's currently sat in 6th place, and was that a full 13 seconds off of the next car ahead of him, or sorry, to the leader, Tom Voss, who we know is not a slow driver. And after him and his teammates did this race did the N24 in this car in top split, he's definitely going to be someone to watch out for. And as always, we will expect to see our Avensis Racing driver battling somewhere near the front of the field.
Yeah, and on the subject of N24 Porsche Cup crazy races, Pete Plastow, as he mentioned at the end of the stream 2 weeks ago, he finished with viewer Nick McLaughlin. Good evening, Nick. At the 24 as well. So, yeah, I mean, I've done a few laps in practice, and I thought the amount of grip was really nice, but that's only due to the amount of the early time that we have in Sim today. So I couldn't imagine doing a whole 24 hours. You know, it might be grippier at night, but then you can't see anything, and then in the day it gets hot, and yeah, you just lose out all grip, and well, I lose all talent to go with it.
Right. not an easy car or an easy track by that matter. So I wouldn't blame the talent all too soon. If you keep on doing it repetitively, I would diagnose you with a lack of talent. But at the moment, I don't think we've got enough to justify you there. But we're in the Porsche Cup cars, which aren't easy cars to drive. No traction control and no ABS for any of these drivers. Although that hasn't stopped this man, Will Money, from managing to get 2 wins in the AM Championship so far. And he's going to be looking to try and get his 3rd one of the AM races here at the Nordschleife. Just weaving and brake dragging, it looks like, to try and get some heat into those tyres before he starts his first of 2 flying laps. Because the track is so long and they've got to fuel up so much, I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see drivers do just 1 lap here, but I guess they're about to find out as Will Money comes out of the final corner to start his flying lap. As you can see, going under the BMW bridge. This is the official test circuit for BMW, if I'm not wrong. Martin, you probably know more about this than I do. Although I can see from a look on his face, ladies and gentlemen, that he is shaking his head and looks slightly disappointed that he doesn't know that fact.
Well, I was more going to say that the Nordschleife is well known for being everybody's benchmarking site for as an OEM. So I know Aston Martin have a site there. I know Bantai Racing for Porsche are just around the corner. Everybody and anybody wants to be there. I mean, Hyundai are using it. Yeah, if you're anyone in the automotive world, then you need to be there.
Indeed you do, and they were there in Foss last weekend at the N24, but I was honest with you, I was watching the stream. I don't know if any of you guys were watching a little bit of the stream, and all that I heard the drivers talking about is how much they're looking forward to the ISRPC race that Thursday, and rightfully so. So Will Money still on the Grand Prix section. This isn't the full GP section, so once you go through turn 1, you then jank round left very quickly, cutting out the Mercedes arena before heading back down towards the S's at the start of the lap, and then you carry the rest of the GP section as normal using the faster chicane, which is just referred to as the GT chicane, if I'm not mistaken, before he turns left coming onto the Nordschleife for the and I apologize for my pronunciation here, coming down towards the Nordschleife.
I'm just getting up a track map just so I can correct you throughout the evening as we head down towards Flansgarten.
Very high-speed part of the track here, and a lot of GT3 cars.
Sorry, it's not Flansgarten. My fault.
I didn't want to correct you, but I was thinking it. I'll be honest. Before he's coming through. I'm not even going to bother to pronounce this. Martin's our in-house pronunciation man today, so I can name about 4 of the corners, and that's about it. But on our way now towards Flugplatz, which I'm not sure if any of you have seen on board footage of David Pittard, but he makes an amazing move up the inside, going through there, passing 2 lapped cars 3 wide. Will Money not having to worry about that, though, as he's just in qualifying. It's only him out on track in his sim, as he's now on the run down to the scariest and most dangerous part of the track, Schwedenkreuz, which is a slight tap of the brakes, down 1 gear, and you've got to resist the understeer and brake as late as you dare before Armberg, and you want to stick as tight as you can here. It's a lot more cambered than you think before coming under the Yokohama sign down towards Fuschra, which I believe is it the Fox's Dip?
Yeah, it's the foxhole. It's foxhole.
Okay, there we are. Yeah, before then coming up towards this section where Jimmy Broadbent crashed in his attempt at the N24 2 years ago, and also other memorable people who have crashed. Toto Wolff ending his GT3 racing career after getting in a heavy incident there in a similar car, Porsche GT3, back in the early 2010s, I want to say. Then going past the Rebel Tree, make sure you give it a wave before braking down towards this tight section, which always throws me off as a driver, but it's not doing so for Will Money at the moment, as he'll be going past the 8km board, and that's your brake marker here. Taking a very tight line through there. Normally you'll be seeing a lot of guys trying to take a later apex through there to try and maximise the run down through this nearly flat out left-right chicane into the infamous miss-hit-miss, or will it be miss-miss-miss? Unfortunately so for Will Money, carrying a little bit too much speed in and having to let off throttle before entry down, before coming into this very difficult double left-hander before the downhill going towards Exmuller and the village below.
Yeah, so over the bridge, round Exmuller, and up the tricky right-hander over the crest and into the sunlight on this early Thursday morning. A lovely day in the Ardennes. We're past the site of Nicky Lauder's awful accident in 1976 and round Bergwerk, and now this is a long climb. Bergwerk is a very important very important corner. Make sure you get exit speed right up so you can flat out up the hill through Kesselchen towards Klostertal and towards Mutt Curve, or as we know it in Sapphire Sim Sport, Big Balls, because that's what it requires. So here we are, Mutt Curve now, down a gear, tips it in. You're really waiting, hoping that there isn't too much understeer, and back on the throttle again. Klostertal over the crest, tricky one there, another lift as he breaks down into Stylstrecker and up towards the Carrecciola Carousel, or the main carousel, or the carousel as it's also known. Making sure that you get into the carousel and don't pop out the other side. 2 wheels on the concrete, do a little jump on the way out. Climbing again towards Eisbach, and Hoher Axe is, I believe, the highest part on the circuit here. This is where all the fog problems occurred on Saturday evening and into Sunday morning at the Nordschleife at the Nurburgring 24. Through Hedvigshohe and towards Wipperman now. Getting slightly lost on my track map. Eisbach is here, and then now down towards Brunchen. And this is commonly known as also YouTube Corner. You'll see all the famous videos from Auto Addiction there. Quite a tricky one, late apex, and that's how everybody screws it up. Only a little bit of gravel on the outside, and the crest means that the rear-wheel drive car will often spin up the inside rear, and you'll go into the wall on the inside. Now, very cautious over the jump. This is Flansgarten now. Oh, there's a lot of curve on the inside. Oh, he's got away with that. Very lucky over another jump here. And through the Stefan Beloff S towards Schwalbenschwanz. Down to 5th gear again. 4th gear at apex even. Now 3rd gear for Schwalbenschwanz, and then the Kleiner Carousel using a lot of curve on the inside again. You really got to be careful here, Isaac, about using an excessive amount of curb, because it really does slow down the car and compromise your line.
You're right, it does, and you can get floor damage running over the curbs, which is not something that you want, especially coming onto this part of the track, the Duttinger Hohe. Over 2 kilometers of flat out straight with a slight kink as you go as you go underneath the Bilstein Bridge before coming down towards Tiergarten, the final corners of the track, to complete 1 lap of this 28-kilometer circuit. And I can tell you, it exhausts you. It's such a physical, demanding track, and this is the only break that you're going to get around it, and the drivers will be savouring this. It's only 2 20-minute races, but I mean, even 1 lap around the Nords is enough to tire you out, and we'll be seeing what these drivers will be coming of it after doing a full 8 laps this weekend, just in qualifying through race sessions. As Will Money comes down into the difficult braking zone, braking interchange of tarmac, coming down into 2nd gear, getting on throttle as early as he dares, coming out the final corner, not using all the track up to the wall to then take the shortest line as he can across the line to finish his first flying lap. Where's this going to put him on the leaderboards? He comes across the line to go 3rd fastest, an 8:25.3 from Will Money, the positively racing driver, but not good enough to beat the provisional pole sitter Nanzivano, who's managed to out-qualify our pre-practice fastest man, Tom Voss. So a good showing there from the Mecca Esports driver and our amateur driver, Will Money.
Yeah, fantastic work from Nanzivano there, picking up where he left off in practice. Less than a second off his free practice time, but that was his first lap as well. Feeling out the conditions and perhaps that might have been the banker, Isaac. On such a long circuit, it is important to make sure you get a time on the board, and then it might be this lap that he throws it all at the wall, and we'll see if it sticks or not.
No, you're right. It's a very long technical circuit, and just like you were saying, getting a lap on the board is an achievement within itself. But then when you start to push, it could be all or nothing, do or die almost. The off-tracks are so hard through this first section, the GP section. This is a key point for it now where Nanzavano is through this left-right chicane. If you take too much curb, you're going to get an off-track, and that's it, qualifying over. As he runs all four wheels onto the grass, I'm really surprised that isn't an off-track, but he's carrying on with it. Obviously, it mustn't be. He knows something that we don't here. And then once you get past the off-tracks through that first section, you've then got the rest of the Nordschleife to handle, and off-tracks or not, it's a difficult track to drive at 100%, and pretty much everybody says you can't drive at 100% because if you do start to attack, it just says no and will throw you into a barrier. But it doesn't stop this driver here, Nanzavano, from trying. As you can hear from how much he's revving this engine out, how hard he's pushing that car, using all of the available curb on the right hand side and getting on throttle as early as he can. This is a very difficult corner. This is where we'll be seeing a big separation between these low and higher rating drivers, and that's an uncharacteristic mistake there from the 2.4k rated driver. You wouldn't like to be seeing him run as far as he did, and obviously got an off track from it and deciding to abort the lap. So that's Nanzavano's time put on the board, an 8:20.1. Can any of the other drivers beat it? Well, this is the man that will be giving him his best shot at it, Luke Chmielowski. After getting 2 race wins so far in the championship, and yet to have a qualify outside of the top 5. We won't be able to get the stats on that, I'm afraid, although it looks like that's another driver who's not going to be able to set another lap time, so that's him going back to the pit lane. Tom Voss, unfortunately, has also had to retire back to the pits. That means that our top 3 won't be able to advance on another lap time. There's Piprunner, it's all happening, has just lost control of his car, so that's his qualifying over for his 1 lap, and he's not going to have time to set another one in, so that's unfortunate there to see a mistake coming from the German Sim Racing and Friends driver. Let's see who else we've got out on track. This man here, who we saw racing earlier on today, Will Money, he's one of the drivers who might now have a chance of going even faster, as he's managed to keep it on the track so far around this incredibly difficult circuit.
Yeah, doing a fantastic job through Nurburgring and the Foxborough. Up to Adenauer Forst and through there towards Metzgerfeld now. I don't know if you saw it, Isaac, but did you see the onboard from Kevin Estra's car at the start of the race from the weekend?
I'll be honest with you, it popped up in my recommended box today at work over my lunch break, and I didn't have enough time to watch it. It's something that is on my list, and I'll probably watch it tonight before going to bed, and in the words of Nicky Team, I'll touch myself over it.
Yes, you will. I have seen it, and it is amazing. So, okay, you could argue that Kevin Estra had a slightly easier time than our drivers today with traction control and ABS, but he was also against the best of the best in GT3 drivers around the world, and Nicky Team was one of them. So Kevin Estra went from 11th at the start of the Nurburgring 24 to first place, and there's a fantastic video on the old YouTube showing an onboard of these first 2 laps, and some of the moves he makes, incredible. And to think that he did those on the cream of the crop, you know, everyone's put in their best driver at the start of one of the biggest races of the year, and he just absolutely wipes the floor with them. It is incredible, in Murray Walker's words. It's yes, as you say, you will do that thing after you've watched it. If anybody else watches it, you will also do the same. It is amazing.
Very well. So then you're saying about how they had all the other teams had their best drives in, and in my opinion, Kevin Estra is the best GT driver who has ever driven a GT car, in my opinion. After a lot of you have seen his overtakes on the Nordschleife, 2 overtakes now, 2 wheels on the grass. Actually, there might be a third because I've not managed to see this this video. One of the best overtakers in GT racing, one of the fastest drivers in GT racing, and one of the best team players in GT racing as well. He's unarguably one of the greatest forces. If anybody who's watching this stream disagrees and think there's another GT3 driver that's better? Let us know. Give us your arguments as to why you think there's anybody out there who could challenge him. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I know me and Martin a little bit of a Porsche fanboys. Like, we live by the documentary and kind of, you know, watch it every night. And like, I have a little picture of Lawrence Van Tour that I kiss before going to bed. But yeah. So let us know, guys, what you guys think the best GT3 drivers out there are at the moment, in the real world and in sim racing as well. Peter Plastow, that we're on board with at the moment, speaking of best drivers, he was the best AM driver for the first half of the season. In fact, he's one of the best drivers that we've got on the grid. He managed to win a race outright whilst being an AM competitor, and he's had countless podiums in the pro category. He's just an outright ridiculously fast driver, and we're seeing him here doing his best attempts at qualifying. We know that qualifying isn't his strongest point, however, currently 7 seconds off of our pole man Nanzivano, or our provisional pole sitter Nanzivano, although we know Peter's driving style is very conservative and he doesn't like to attack too much, although when he does, he can pull off some very nice overtakes like we saw last time out at Road Atlanta. Getting a little bit of understeer here from the British driver. Tom Voss saying in chat that he reckons he's the fastest driver. Well, you know what? Why don't we speak to Porsche, see if we can get you on track with a bunch of the Porsche Cup guys. We'll see it battle it out, or why do it the other way around, get them in the sim. But yeah, maybe that'll be something we can try and do. ISRC, Porsche factory drivers versus ISRPC. See how that would work out. As we're now waiting for Peter Plastow to finish his flying lap, just a touching of her to go, like we were saying, over 2 kilometers of flat out straight line. I was going to say V6, it's not V6. Flat 6.
Flat 6.
Flat 6. I corrected myself.
Who said you like Porsche?
I do. It's a long day. Long day. I've been long day at work.
Very far. We'll let you off this time. So as Peter Plastow is coming through Tiergarten and into Hohenrhein to finish his lap, a quick squiz at the overall standings at the moment, and taking into account the drop round already, Peter is only 24 points behind Luke Chmielowski. So Luke is sitting in second, nearly 300 points behind Nanzivano, who's in first of our overall standings, and yeah, Peter Plastow only 24 points off that second place. So yeah, he's certainly risen through the ranks throughout the championship, as you said, taking some a win as an AM driver early on, but he now sits near 2.8. Yeah, just under 2.8k, so well over the AM Championship cut-off for him, and yeah, that warrants his third place in the championship so far.
It really does. He's an incredibly strong driver, like we were saying, and he has a long shot at tying with Nanzivano, like you're saying, for the championship. And the only man who ever can challenge Ivano in the Mecha Esports cars, Luke Chmielowski, will need some good fortune, however, to stop the French Mecha Esports Pro car for any bit in the AM category. Francois Coulet is leading the championship points, and that's a three-way battle for the championship with Nils Lepers and Will Money. But at the moment, as we're looking at standings, Will Money might have this one. Might have his one hand on the trophy at the moment if he can carry on and hold this pace difference that he's got over his fellow competitors, as David Glass comes across the line to finish his lap, and with that'll put the end of all the cars out on track at the moment. We'll give it another couple seconds before we'll be advancing through into the first of our 2 race sessions. And there we are to signal the end of qualifying. We'll be moving through into the first of 2 race sessions. As we pull up the grid. So that means that Nanzivano was the fastest man after all, setting a time of a 8:20.1, a 4 seconds slower than he managed to do in free practice. However, that That was on a cooler track and slightly grippier as well, and he could have had slipstream, which we weren't aware of. Tom Foss for Avensis Racing is in second place with Luke Chmielowski, another strong competitor in the championship, down in third. Nanzavano, the pole sitters team, Nanzavano, Kevin Vermont, the Beckett Esports teammate, is in fourth place with the first of our AM competitors. Will Money's in fifth, a good qualifying attempt from him, with Peter Plastow, the virtual racing compound driver, just 4 tenths behind in sixth place. Derrick Rudenberg, a first-time competitor for Positively Racing and ISRPC, is in seventh place with Francois Coulet, our championship leader in AM, down in eighth. Nils Leppers, the first of our German sim racing friends cars, is in ninth place, and Deus Pickbrenner, his teammate in the pro categories, in 10th place, with David Glass unfortunately not able to set a lap time, down in 11th. However, we know that he's got some fast race pace, and he'll have his eyes on Nils Leppers in that German sim racing friends car just ahead of him.
Going to be a fantastic race. Only 30 seconds to go until the race is green.
Exactly, just 20 seconds.
Sorry, who's your bets on then, Isaac?
If I had to put my money on someone at the moment, I'd probably go with Luke Chmielowski. He's got some incredible race pace, but it looks like we're about to find out, because we've only got 3 seconds left before our lights go on. Who do you guys reckon is going to win this race, as we hear those Porsche engines revving, and we've got the 5 red lights? And we're racing at the Nordschleife. Had a terrible start there for the Lithium Motorsports driver of Luke Chmielowski, but a good start up ahead for Nanzavano at the lead of the pack. And there's a crash behind. That's Luke Chmielowski and one of the Positively Racing cars. But Nanzavano manages to make it down through turn 1 safely, and Tom Voss just behind, managing to get a good start.
Yeah, unfortunate to see an accident there off the start. It looked like, I think Will Money from Positively Racing was involved with that, and another car as well. I'm not exactly sure who that third car was at the moment. But commentator's curse struck again, unfortunately, Isaac. Luke Chmielowski, not the greatest start there, but Tom Voss is right on the tail of Nanzavano at the moment. It'd be interesting to see how the setups of the cars differ from the Grand Prix to the Nordschleife. Can obviously get some, because there's obviously 2 very different parts of the circuit, as Dennis Pickbrenner is all over the back of Francois Coulet. So Coulet is currently sitting in third place in the AM stand, in the rankings at the moment, but it goes defensive into the left-hander onto the Grand Prix loop, but Pickbrenner's going to send it up the inside, and the space is nicely given. Will he get a better run out? And David Glass is lurking there in the background. Will they get it all sorted before the chicane and onto the Nordschleife? That's going to be the big question now.
It's just lap 1, lads. Let's calm it down. You're on the first lap. Tyres aren't fully up to temperature. David, you hear me talking? Come on, man. As they make their way through the chicane, they all survive, thankfully. Although David Glass has lost a lot of time and is now under pressure from Derrick Rudenberg in the Positively Racing car, number 25. As they make their way onto the Nordschleife for the first time by, and the tyres still won't be fully up to temperature, so coming into this very fast corner of Hatzenbach, you got to be careful to make sure that you don't lose the rear end on this rear-engine Porsche, and it rotates around you. All the drivers so far making it through all right, down towards the second part of Hatzenbach before we go into Hockeneichen, which is where our leaders are at the moment. Nanzavano going through this right-hander, still leading from pole position, although he's got Tom Voss, who we know from the past has got a bit of beef with Nanzavano. We've seen them racing last time out at Road Atlanta and previous rounds before that, and both of them are ridiculously aggressive drivers. Tom Voss, give him half a chance and he will take it. He'll bite your hand off it. And Nanzavano is a ruthless defender, so that just means this is going to be an incredible race throughout the rest of race 1. And with this low downforce, which these Porsche Cup cars are running, we can see how close Tom Voss is getting. Is he going to try up the inside into Schwedenkreuz, deciding the best of it, and instead is going to try and attack later on in the lap as they break and make their way down towards Armberg before the downhill technical Fossrower. Have I got that one right?
Fossrower. I mean, I'm not by any means German or proficient in German pronunciation, but Fuchsrower is what I'd say.
So, okay, well there we are, as the drives just go through it. The dip is what I like to call it. There, or the compression is what a lot of people will know it as, before you're coming up into the tight left-right hand of Ardner Forest, before Mexfeld with the Rebel Tree, which the drivers won't be having a time to wave at anymore because they're locked on the cars ahead of them, or in the case of Nanzavano, he'll be looking half the time in his mirror to make sure that Tom Voss isn't trying to shove the nose somewhere where it doesn't belong, as he goes through the first third of the lap, and Nanzavano is still leading ahead of Tom Voss, and his teammate Kevin Vermont has managed to get a brilliant start from 4th place up to less than a half a second behind Tom Voss. But now we're on board with Dennis Pickman, one of our pro drivers, in a sea of AMs. Riding on board right now with the German sim racing Friends driver. Ahead of him is a car which looks vaguely similar to the leader of our overall race. That is the Mecha Esports Academy car, which you can differentiate from the silver and black. Silver and black in the pro car, and red and black in the car there. And we've got some damage on the front right hand side, and Nanzavano, who's dropped down into 3rd place, and he's got Peter Plastow just behind him. I wonder if we can get a replay of that to see what happened there, but that means that Tom Voss has now been elevated up into the lead, and Kevin Vermont will be pushing as hard as he can to get up that gearbox of the Porsche up ahead of him. But Peter Plastow now is going to be trying to attack our pole sitter, Nanzavano. This isn't going to be the place to do it, not now when you've got this long uphill straight, or I say straight, it's a series of left kinks into a series of right kinks, but it will be flat out for all of these cars. With a reasonable amount of downforce, but still not a lot when you're comparing it to those of a Formula car or the GT3/4 competitors, as Peter Plastow's going to be right in the slipstream. Although if you listen, it sounds like he's lifting off here. Yes, he is. So he's deciding not to drive aggressively and instead sitting firmly at the moment. Instead, perhaps going to try and pressure Nanzavano into a mistake and pass that way. Although looking at my timing boards now, Kevin Vermont's managed to move up the field, and we've got a spinner. No, that's at the big Paul's corner, as myself and Martin call it, and that is Nils Leppers, one of our championship competitors in the AM category. It's just had an off into the wall, getting that rear engine oversteer that I was talking about earlier on in the lap. Unfortunately meant that he's gone into the wall, and that's good news for this man, Francois Coulet, which means that if he can hold it on as it is, he's going to have a really good shot at the championship.
Yeah, Francois is 146 points ahead of Niels Leppers coming into this round, so he just needs to outscore him really to maintain that gap. Yeah, unfortunate to see Nanzavano have some issues. I think he might have locked it up into the siphon. We had a few people go a bit wide into there, and yeah, first lap, no ABS on these cars, and very easy to lock it up. But now we have David Glass on screen chasing down Dennis Pickbrenner. So David Glass was now 3rd place in the AM standings. No, sorry, he is 2nd. My fault. Old timing screen. Yeah, doing a fantastic job sticking up with Pickbrenner, German Sim Racing Friends.
The Nordschleife iRating seems to go out of the window here. You can have low iRating drivers ahead of higher iRating drivers just because it's such a different track, and people will buy the game just to drive the Nordschleife in a Porsche Cup car and won't own a single piece of content other than that. And that's why you might see some interesting ordering in the timings and those who have seen previously, as we see a spinner, the other German Sim Racing Friends car, losing it. Again, the rear end coming round, this time after he goes through the jump of Flansgarten, which is a shame to see, and now that's meant that he's been passed by not only Will Money, but Luke Chmielowski, who we saw both having issues at the start of the race. So now this is a little three-way battle that we've got a bit further on. However, the 2 cars ahead of the German Sim Racing Friends car have got damage.
Yeah, it looks like everyone's got a little bit of damage. This is almost like the second wave of cars, as everyone's had a little bit of a spin. So we've got Will Money, Dennis Pickbrenner, Derrick Rudenberg, and yeah, Luke Chmielowski as well. As we now go to a replay of Nanzavano, he did indeed lock it up with a siphon. Bit of a tank slapper on the brakes, and he's hit the wall there, and that's the damage we saw. But managed to just get out back onto the track ahead of Pete Plastow. So not all lost there, but Nanzavano only needs 25 points from this race to clinch the championship. As we see, Luke Chmielowski from the start of the race got a poor start and ended up 4 wide there, and that's unfortunate to see both Positively Racing cars get taken out in that. And looked like the green German Sim Racing Friends car kind of got away with it, but I don't think we can blame anybody there. I think it's just compressed at the start of the race as Chmielowski got a poor start, unfortunately.
I agree with you there. Unfortunate to see those cars involved in the incident. As we now go back to look at our, saying the green German Sim Racing Friends car, Nils Lepers losing it at the Big Balls corner, tapping the rear end and unfortunately not able to save it, and then getting a double hit to the right-hand side of his car. We're not sure if he's carried on at the moment or if he's returned back to the pit lane. He might have significant damage to his car, and it will be crabbing, I suspect. It'll be difficult for him to handle, but we'll see if he'll be able to carry on. It looks like he is deciding to stick out on track for the moment, and with another 2 laps of the Nords to go, anything can happen.
Yeah, and Niels also has the all-important 10th position as well at the moment, so if he sticks that and through to the end of the race, then he will come through in pole position for race 2, so because of our reverse top 10. So yeah, if I was him, I'd certainly stick out there.
Yes, just like to point out, there's an error on our timing screens. This man that we're just going on board with here, on our timing screen says he's in 11th place. He's not. He's in 8th place. We don't know why. It says it is a lap down. He's not. He's in 8th place, and we'll update you whenever he makes or loses a position. And lose he just did there, unfortunately, getting one wheel on that left-hand side curve, which is all too easy to do, and then there's nothing you can do at that point. You're just a passenger as the car loops around. Fortunately, not hitting anything, but able to carry on without sustaining any more damage. Who has already battered and bruised Porsche Cup car, but like you said, reverse grid for the second race. That'll put him further up the field, up into third, where he started actually this race from, and he'll be able to attack again, this time with AM cars ahead of him instead of the pros that he had at the start.
Yeah, so apologies there. So it's actually not Niels Lepers that's in the 10th place. It's therefore Derrick Rudenberg, so he'll be on pole at the moment if he carries on like this. But now we have Tom Voss coming towards Floodplatz. Just don't know how I briefly forgot that. So over there he goes. Gets an unusual amount of air on the front axle in these Cup cars. It's not something I expected when I did a couple of laps earlier, but nonetheless, still a fantastic car to drive, and yeah, a very analogue experience, that's for sure.
Definitely is, and especially over that steep incline that is Floodplatz, being flattened out after the accident in 2015, which unfortunate accident in which AGTR took off, and since then there's been safety precautions taken at the Nordschleife, including several of the jumps, as they're referred to, being flattened slightly, the track being made slightly safer than it is, which is something that you need on such a dangerous high-speed track. Fortunately, though, we don't have any such risk whilst in the sim racing world, so that means that this man here, Tom Voss, can attack out as hard as he likes, or as hard as he dares, but pushing it a little bit too hard as he runs slightly deep. Although someone who I can guarantee you is pushing even harder than he is the man behind him, Kevin Vermont, who after in the last 5 rounds, off the top of my head, hasn't got a race win. And for somebody who's as fast as he is, he'll be expecting better from himself. And will be pushing as hard as he can to try and catch this man, Tom Voss, and try and seal a race win at the hardest track in the calendar, the Nurburgring Nordschleife.
Yeah, he's doing a decent job of keeping Tom Voss honest at the moment. As we rode on board through Metzgerfeld, he clipped a lot of the inside curb on one of those corners. So yeah, it just shows how easy it is to make a mistake here with the steep curbs. Oh, there we go, there's another one. And they can really throw you offline in the wrong place, and they can put you in the wall, and even worse. Yeah, so it'll be. Yeah, it's not over until the fat lady sings, as they say, because yeah, you can be leading by a lot, but you've got so much to lose as well at any particular corner on the Nordschleife.
Correct. A track of using every inch of the available surface. However, you take that one extra inch, and it will put you in a wall, bite your head off, and spit it out without a second thought. And that's where you separate the men from the boys here. As Kevin Vermont is pushing to try and catch our race leader Tom Voss after 1.5 laps. As we now jump back to a battle a bit further down the pack. This is the closest battle that we have on track at the moment. There's Pickburner, who we saw spinning out earlier on, is now challenging Will Money, who we saw qualifying at the top of the AM field. However, sustaining unfortunate damage to the front of his car before the first corner means that he's a little bit off the pace due to some aero damage, and that means that this man here, Des Pickburner, is going to try and capitalise on that, and we can see the difference in speed. I don't know if this is the aero damage or it could be set up. However, Des Pickburner goes for a move here, which he decides not to. I was going to say it'd be a heck of a move, but he's decided to make the best of it and stay behind through this fast left-hander before making their way down towards the hairpin before going into the carousel.
Yeah, I think Will Money saw him coming and was only half-heartedly gave him a look at the inside just to, as Will locks up the brakes there as they climb into towards the, oh dear, and that's Nanzavano's gone from bad to worse. He's got damage on both sides of his car now out of the carousel. Goodness me. We hope we can see a replay of that soon, but I said in warm-up that he only needed 25 points from this race, and he's certainly going about making them hard to get. Oh, he's taken too much speed into the carousel, and that has absolutely spat him out, as you said it would. And yeah, too much speed on the way in. Had to turn it in at some point, and then, dear, he's hit the curb there as well. So the new damage model on the Porsche GT3 Cup Car 991 is, oh goodness me, that is a wild ride on another spin just to top it off. That is, not the finest piece of driving we've seen from our overall championship leader.
Indeed, it's not, and he'll be shaking his head at that. But a man who benefited from that was his junior teammate in the Mecha Esports Academy car, Francois Coulet, who we saw managing to go by, who's currently at the moment holding off David Glass, who's on for his best finish of the season so far, up in second place, only joining us 2 rounds ago at Barcelona, and this is his third time venturing out onto circuit with ISRC. And like I said, they're on trying for second place, and he's going to be pushing as hard as he can as they go through the Stefan Beloff S's. I got my words out there. Before he tries to get onto that all-important slipstream going onto the Duttinger Hoa. Off the top of my head, I want to say it's 1.2 seconds for these Porsche Cup cars is how close you have to be to the car ahead of you in order to be able to challenge for an overtake, considering how long the Duttinger Hoa is. And if our timing screens are correct, David Glass isn't going to be close enough. We'll definitely see him close up while behind Francois Coulet in that other Porsche Cup car. However, he's not close enough to challenge for an overtake. Absolutely not. He's far too far back. But you never know, this might put him close enough so that he can put up a challenge at some point later on in the GP section, which is where you want to be making most of your overtakes. As you can see from the nature of the track, the Nords is very hard to drive on. As we see Francois Coulet trying to do the Kevin Estre move, but he's not overtaking anybody. Try and keep all 4 wheels on the dark stuff, please, Francois. But that means that David has managed to close up a lot here, and now he might have a chance to challenge down in towards turn 1, lifting off really early and try and get as good of an exit as he can coming out of that final corner to try and challenge the young Frenchman in the Mecha Esports Academy car just up ahead.
Yeah, he wasn't close enough down the Dottinger Hoa, and as you say, he wisely lifted off early. And it was funny to see Coulet trying to avoid the draft effect there, as David Glass, I think, pulls out of this one as well. Maybe not wanting to overly influence the AM Championship leader, as he is at the moment, but 2 spick and span looking cars there, and there's a little chef on the side of that one for you there, Isaac.
Looks like the chef has just managed to make an overtake, a clean clinical move there from David Glass round the outside, going into the left-right chicane on the GP section. of the track. I don't know whether Francois Coulet decided to let him go through there, realising that all that he needs to do is just score points, and he'll put himself in a very good position for winning the championship. I'm not sure on the margins here, Martin. You might be able to help me out a bit later on if you're able to crunch the numbers. But good overtake there from David Glass after Francois Coulet really seems to be struggling at the moment. There's a high possibility with this 8-lap race that the drivers have slightly underfueled the cars, and maybe that's what Francois has realised, and instead is just going to decide to back off a little bit in an attempt to gain back that fuel that he underput in, as he's dropping back off the rear end of the chef's Porsche Cup car.
Yeah, strange to see Coulet drop that far back that quickly. As you say earlier, the Mecha Esports guys are generally quite aggressive, and they're entitled to be, but they're just slightly more aggressive than the others, I guess. But maybe the Grand Prix section isn't his strong point, and he wants some clear air and clean sight lines for going onto the Nordschleife through the Hats and back. We will go. But back to the championship situation for Francois. He has a 146-point lead, I believe, off Niels Leppers. So Niels is currently in 11th place, and Francois, sorry, not in 11th place, he's in 4th place for the AM standings, and Francois is in 2nd. So if Francois scores 5 more points than Niels this race, then he'll have an over 150 point lead over Niels Leppers going into the second and final race of the round and of the season, and therefore that will give him the championship.
Right, it would most definitely will,
and he's right on target for that. And he doesn't. He can let. He can let David Glass go, no problems. Stick on the back of him, sit in the slipstream a little bit, and yeah, it'll be right as rain.
Someone else who's going to be rubbing their hands together at the moment is this man's teammate, Nanzavano. All that he needs to do is get, like you were saying, a 25-point gain over Lucia Milosky, and he's about to do that. Yeah, so Lucia Milosky would have to win both of the next 2 races in order to be in the shot of winning, and Francois Coulet not to score points, which at this point, it's looking really rather unlikely for the Lithium Sports driver to be able to challenge for the lead. I'm not going to say impossible, because nothing's impossible. However, Tom Voss, after Nanzavano made that uncharacteristic mistake, has managed to take the lead of the race, and Lucia Milosky all the way down in 9th place. I'd be very surprised if he'd be able to challenge.
Yeah, unfortunate stuff for Chumlowski as we look at a replay of Dennis Pickbranger through the Haug hook, as it's called. He just gets a little bit too early on the power and loops it round. No damage done, no harm done, as Derrick Rudenberg goes past him to claim another position. But, and he's going around again. Fancy's doing donuts. It's a bit early for donuts, isn't it? I mean, it might be the final round, but it's only race 1 of 2 in the evening. It's still going.
Yeah, you need to do them at the end of the races, not during them. So perhaps we need to start telling our drivers at turn 1. Somebody who will be doing donuts after the race, this man, if he carries on in his current form, he will win the championship quite comfortably. If he's able to bring it home in the position that he's currently in. And with Lucia Milosky, his rival, being a full 18 seconds behind him, it's looking rather unlikely. Although Lucia Milosky, for the moment, will have his gazes set on the newcomer to the championship and positively racing. Another positively racing driver, Derrick Rudenberg, just up ahead of him. The gap is currently 1.5 seconds with just over half a lap to go on the Nordschleife for the final lap of our first of 2 20-minute sprint races. Although I think at this point Lucia Milosky might have come to grips with the fact that the championship's slightly out of reach, but what he can try and do is finish in 9th, get himself on the front row of the grid for race number 2, and then try and pull away as fast as he can for the rest of the race in race 2, try and pull away as fast as he can, whilst behind him, the faster guys, the other fast drivers of Tom Voss, Kevin Vermont, Peter Plastow, and Nance Ivano will be stuck battling AM drivers as they try and make their way forward.
Yeah, so look at the timing screens. We ride on board with Kevin Vermont. As Tom Voss goes wide towards Brunchen, and Kevin Vermont set the fastest lap of the race last time round, so it was an 8:23.44, 3 tenths quicker than Tom Voss. And I reckon as we come towards the roller coaster section of with the jump of Flansgarten and towards the Stefan Bell FS, that Vermont's right in the hole shot effectively for a good slipstream down the Dottinger Hoa and a pass into the Tiergarten, don't you think?
I think he's going to be giving it his all, using as much of the track as he can, and using and abusing that curb 9 tenths back. He's going to be well within that 1.2 second range to be able to possibly try and get the slingshot by. He's closing right up through this section of corners here, and just the mini carousel. And one more corner to go, going onto the Duttinger Hoa. It looks like he's going to be giving himself as best a shot as ever. 8 tenths is the gap at the moment, going through the corner just before the Duttinger Hoa. This is the most important, arguably the most important corner in the entire circuit. A bad run here can cost you quite literally a second, whereas a good one can gain you a lot of time. And Kevin Vermont is within 1 second, however, not getting as good of a run as Tom Voss. That means that he's not going to have the initial slingshot that he would like. However, he's now in that slipstream and will be gaining like wildfire. Tom Voss going from the right to left-hand side of the track, attempt to try and break that slipstream. However, Kevin Vermont is sat snugly as we look underneath the rear wing of that Porsche Cup car, coming down underneath the Bilstein Bridge and over the kink left before the uphill braking zone of the final corners of Tiergarten. Is Kevin Vermont close enough? It doesn't look like he is. Unfortunately, that bad run going onto the Duttinger Hoa might have cost him, braking as late as he can. Is it too late? No, it's not. So Tom Voss is going to come around the final corner in the lead to take the win here of race number 1 of the final round of the ISRPC Championship here at the Nurburgring Nordschleife.
And a fantastic win there for Tom Voss. Yeah, I really expected Luke Chmielowski to... Kevin Vermont, terribly sorry, to close up a lot more there, but didn't happen for him. Peter Plastow comes through in 3rd place. Fantastic showing for him. And David Glass in 4th and AM winner. Therefore, for this round, race 1 of the final round. As we watch the rest of the cars come through, and Nance Ivano's gone for a nice little spin. Not the first car we've seen into the barriers. That's the place where you're meant to do donuts, Dennis. Derrick Rudenberg, bit of a battered Positively Racing Cup car there, but comes through in 8th position, and he'll be starting on the 2nd row of the grid for race 2. Dennis Prickbrenner will get his chance to do his donuts now if he wishes. So there'll be a 10-minute warm-up towards, as we see a few donuts in the background there already, celebrating a Mecca Esports Drivers' Championship for Nance Ivano. So we'll get a couple of the guys into the commentary booth.
Well, in the first... So I was going to say the first of which will be our Mecca Esports. Sorry, our Vensis racing driver Tom Voss, managing to starting 2nd on the grid, going through and winning race number 1. Congratulations, Tom, on your win here of the final round of the ISRPC.
Thank you. Kevin made me work for it, but luckily I hold on. But the slipstream is so strong, holy moly. But luckily, I hold on to it, and I'm pretty happy about it.
And happy you definitely should be. It was well driven, and we did think that Kevin was going to be close enough to challenge you on the Duttinger Hoa on that final lap. However, we were saying earlier on that this isn't your first time at the Nords, if I remember correctly. You said that, I might be recalling incorrectly here. I recall you saying that yourself or was it your team actually competed in top split?
My team did. Yeah.
Okay. In the N24 here. So does that mean that you've got a bit of a home ground advantage then, as you've got the setup and the help from your fellow teammates to try and get you a bit further and quicker up the pace?
Well, I think I only did like 2 laps yesterday, and now driving because it's so hot in the Netherlands. So yeah, it was quite sweaty, but yeah, luckily the pace was there, and yeah, I don't know about the setup because it isn't working that good because of the new patch. So need to have a look on that, but yeah, luckily I still won, so that's the only thing what matters, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't matter how you do it; it's the fact that you do it. Yeah, well done from me, Tom. So, what parts of the setup and what parts of the car have changed in your brief experience since the latest patch on iRacing?
Yeah, something with the right height. I couldn't turn in the car like I wanted, so yeah, needed to change some anti-roll bar maybe, but yeah, didn't change anything because I was too scary to get crashed out or to crash myself out. So yeah, luckily I didn't change it, and still was enough for P1.
Very well done. So you think in the few minutes before the second race you might try a few changes out, or you don't think that's going to be long enough to make sure you get comfortable?
Nah, this is fine, I think.
Okay, fair enough. It worked for you in the first race, and let's hope it works for you in the second. Isaac, you got anything more?
Nothing to say other than just my best of luck. If you're in the second race, we know it's difficult. It's a difficult track, difficult car, and hopefully you'll be able to pull out a good result after starting in 10th on the grid for race number 2.
I will try. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. That was Tom Voss there from our Ventus Racing, our race 1 winner here. Martin, so that is the first of our 2 20-minute sprint races gone. After seeing our now championship winner, Nanzavano, crashing out, Tom Voss had a dominant lead for the rest of that race.
Yeah, he certainly did. He brought it home, which is the most important thing, and it barely looked as if there was a scratch on the car. We rode on board with with him and Kevin Vermont, and it looked as if both of them were missing a few apices here and there, but yeah, I mean, if you end up equally missing the same amount as your fellow competitor, then that's the pace, and that's what you need to be doing. Unfortunate to see Nanzavano have all the issues that he did, but congratulate him on a championship win overall. That is a fantastic achievement. It has been a hotly contested 7.5 rounds, as it would be now. As we head into the very final race of the championship, but came into tonight with nearly a 300-point lead and outscored Luke Chmielowski with unfortunately his problem at the start of the race. Giving him the championship, thoroughly well deserved for Mecca Esports.
Interesting, Mecca Esports there managing to get both their hands on the trophy in the pro and AM categories. Nanzavano winning the pro category, like you said, and Franco Arculé, a bit of an underdog in the championship. Yeah, I've got to say it off the top of my head, I don't think he's got a race win. Sorry, that's a lie. He's got 1 race win and has managed to come through and win the championship, which is awfully impressive considering, like I said, just consistency pays off over these individual good results. We've seen certain drivers in the championship get several wins, namely Luke Chmielowski and Tom Voss, who are incredibly quick drivers, but unfortunately haven't had luck on their side either, whether it be through bad race starts, just being in the wrong place at the wrong time, meaning that they haven't been able to challenge for the championship. And it just shows that consistency is key, and it's really worked out and paid off for our AM winner, Francois Coulet.
Yeah, I just had a few private messages from Nanzavano. He's unable to speak today because it turns out he's on double duty. So he has a baby, a child, asleep next to him. So that's why he doesn't want to speak with us this evening. but he says he's very happy for the championship, and also thanks us for putting it on, which I think is awfully nice. But no, he's done an absolutely stellar job, and yeah, let's hope he can put the cherry on top of the championship in the very final race of the whole series.
I think we're rooting for him in our seats, and it's nice to hear that a little bit of personal touch there. With he's got the child next to him, so he's unable to speak with us. But it seems like a fairly reasonable reason not to speak to us. It's not like dog ate my mic kind of thing. It's it's a fairly valid excuse.
Yeah, we'll give him that one for this evening. And just a point on Tom Foss, so he is entered in the Arvensis Racing Porsche number 117 for the ISREC, the R Endurance Championship, which has its round 2 at Imola this weekend. So tune into Two Ravens TV for all the action that will bring. Unfortunately, 2 weeks ago, he DNF'd in that car at Road America, in the 12 Hours of Road America. So he'll be looking to carry the momentum from this evening into his other Porsche, the GTE Porsche, for Imola on the weekend.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Imola, not a track I'm a massive fan of. I don't see what all the fuss is about. However, all the drivers that I've spoken to in the championship love it, and so I can't take away from them. If they like it, then normally, if drivers like a track, it'll bring out good racing. And Imola, when racing occurs at Imola, it's incredible. However, in my opinion, it's slightly too far apart. But even then, that doesn't stop what's happened so far in the ISREC Championship, where we rarely get repeat winners, with the exception of Team. Actually, I was going to say the exception of Fugasim Sport and Team DRC Red last year. The exception of those cars. It's been like barely any repeat winners, It's always up and changing, especially in our GT categories at the moment. We've got 30 cars spread between a Pro and Am category, and it just brings some insane racing. The first round out, 33 cars. I've just been corrected. And our first round out they had at Road America, my jaw was on the floor watching these. This field of P1s pulled away, which is fairly impressive, seeing 7 P1s out on track, which in a dying category, but in a category that isn't driven as much as everybody would like it to be, it's fairly impressive. Then you've got this swarm of buzzing, angry P2s, so B2s, yeah, they're like Bs, P2s before then all of a sudden, what's that coming over the hill? Is it a monster? No, it's 33 GTE cars. What are you doing standing in the track? Move. They're so quick, and the battling was insane, and I loved every second of watching it, and I'm very privileged to steward some awesome racing with some very, very good drivers.
Yeah, so and you say, what's that monster coming over the crest of the home straight at Road America? And that is because 16 out of those 33 GTEs are all BMW M8s. Those big, those huge, those absolutely humongous cars. But that's had quite a nerfing, as we technically say, in the iRacing community. In the recent patch, it had an extra 20 kilos added to it, which shows its dominance, and therefore shows it how the reason why it was so popular in ISREC this season.
I mean, I put on 20 kilos, I'm still fine. So, I don't see what everybody's complaining about. It's good to see that they're bopping the cars, and it seems like iRacing cycle through what car's the fastest, especially in the GTE and GT3 categories. You'll often see cars going through the fastest. We saw the BMW's been dominant, the Ford this time last year, and then the Porsche as well often gets its dominant streak. I'd like to see the Ferrari and the Corvette at some point getting their streak into to the top of the timing sheets. However, we're not going to be seeing any of those happening in this race because Porsche Cups, only Porsche Cups, and love Porsches. So let's go through and look at the grid for race number 2. Our pole sitter now, after us finishing in 10th place, Dennis Prickbrenner for German sim racing friends. Sat on pole position with Lucia Milosky just behind him in second place. Derrick Rudenberg sat on pole for the AM runners with Will Money, his teammate, just behind. Nanzavano, Francois Coulet for Mecha Esports just behind him with David Glass, Peter Plastow, Kevin Vermont and Tom Voss rounding out the top 10 with Nils Lepers after an unfortunate race 1 down in 11th place. However, he'll be pushing as hard as he can to try and make as much ground up as possible. Just 16 seconds to go now before we start our second of two 20-minute races with a Lithium Motorsports car on the front row of the grid for the countless time this championship. As we get ready to go, 5 red lights and the revving flat sixes of the Porsches. And we're racing for race number 2. A much better start there for our Luke Chmielowski, and a bad start from the Positivity Racing car just behind, but an amazing start from Nanzavana, who's got himself all the way up into second place, not close enough to challenge our leader of Luke Chmielowski. However, he's going to try to get the over-under through through corner number 1. However, the car's streaming through as fast as they can behind him, going 2 by 2. A bit further back down the field. One of those is the German Sim Racing Friends car going around the outside of Tom Foss. Can he do it? Yes, he can. Incredible move there from Dennis Pickburnett. And the cars settle down into a single file. No, they don't, as Kevin Vermont gets overtaken by Peter Plastow. That's for 7th place. And then now, finally, after half a GP circuit, single file. And you're going to have to as they get their way towards the Nords.
Yeah, I think that third place grid slot must be a bit cursed. It must be lacking a bit of grip compared to the other ones, as we saw Derrick Rudenberg struggle to get off the line from that place on the grid, as did Luke Chmielowski in the first round. As we look now back at the 96 Arvensis racing car of Tom Voss from Dennis Pickbrenner's car. He almost looks as if he's going to try it around the outside. I won't spoil it, but Kevin Estre does that a couple of times in that video we mentioned earlier.
Maybe Tom Voss is Kevin Estre.
Of course, it all makes sense now.
Looking back, actually, you can see the Grello Racing colours on Tom Voss's helmet, so it's all adding together now. Yeah, it's all just an online alias. Tom Voss doesn't actually really exist. There we are. We've uncovered it, ladies and gentlemen. But I'll hand it over to you, Martin, as he sends him round, going on to the Nordschleife.
Oh dear, that's not very Kevin Estre-like, I'm going to say. That's unfortunate for Dennis Pickbrenner, and unfortunate for Tom Voss as well. I feel he'll probably be getting a penalty from the stewards as a result of that. But that has given him clearer track to chase down Will Money ahead of him on the Nordschleife, as we look at our AM Championship winner, Francois Coulet, heading through the Hatson back. Closely followed by former AM Championship leader Peter Plastow before he got promoted to pro. So now heading towards Vlugplatz. Lovely sight of the Flat 6 Porsches coming over the crests, round through the trees of the Nordschleife for the Grünhell. Oh dear, Francois Coulet's gone straight off into the wall at the top of the Vlugplatz. And I reckon he's going to have quite a bit of steering damage, and I wouldn't be surprised if he had to retire as a result of that. That's really bad to see, but it's a good job he wrapped up the championship in the first race.
Massive crash there from the Mecca Esports Academy driver, but we won't focus on that too long, as we're now sat on board with our leader Luke Chmielowski, looking back on another Mecca Esports car. This time it's Nanzavana. He's just won the Pro Championship. He's got nothing to lose. He's going to be going out as hard as he can, and we know from his pace he can go hard, but hopefully not into the barrier as he goes straight over. Is he able to keep it out of the wall and of the cars? No, he's not. Making side door-to-door contact with Luke Chmielowski, rejoining onto the track, locked all 4 wheels there. I don't know if there's much you could have done to avoid that accident, but that's allowed this battling duo here of Will Money and Tom Voss to slot. They're going too wide, going down in towards Ardenarforst, and they managed to stream down into single file. Luke Chmielowski still holds his lead, however, Nanzavano dropped down into 4th place, and Will Money elevated up into 2nd with Tom Voss, an angry Dutchman, right behind.
An angry Dutchman indeed, a hot and angry Dutchman, as he said in his interview. So yeah, I think overcooked it at Ardenarforst, and as Will Money gets a big lock up through miss as it is, and that puts Tom Voss past him as well as Nanzavano. Oh no, and Will Money's just been taken out there by Kevin Vermont. It was, missing his braking point into Versiphen. Really tricky circuit this in these cars, and if you're bunched up behind 2 or 3 competitors, then you lose all of your sight lines, and you can very easily lose your braking point to go with it, as Tom Voss runs wide out of the exit of the out of X-Muller, Breitscheid. Yeah, that is Lex Muller. There we go. And allows Nanzavano to close back up on him a little bit. Nanza be looking for a better run out of Bergwerk this time. Closing up on the slipstream of Tom Voss all the way up the hill towards Mutkurva. See if he is brave enough to make a move. The slipstream doesn't seem quite as strong this time round, as Tom Voss will have the slipstream of Chmielowski ahead of him, so kind of cancelling it out a little bit there as they break for down a couple of gears to Mutkurva. Tom Voss running wide and onto the grass. Does he keep it out of the barriers? Probably not. But a few scratches on the right-hand side of his 911 Cup car, allowing... oh, and there's a big lock-up. Nah, that's contact, definitely. And he'll be potentially jumping back to the pits and not happy with that. As we said, oh dear, Chmielowski now goes off at the carousel. This is all happening on lap 1 of race 2 of the final race of the whole damn season. What the hell's going on?
Come on, guys, we started it off extremely well. Let's finish it off well, at least. That means that Nanzavano's managed to make his way through past Luke Chmielowski, so it's a French 1-2 at the moment. Peter Plastow, who's behind in third place with a 3-second gap, he'd be doing well to try and catch up to this leading duo after the antics of lap number 1. However, Luke Chmielowski sat in second place. He's a very aggressive driver again. Himself, Tom Voss and Nanzavano are aggressive in a controlled way. Luke is less so than the other two. We don't see him battling as much because when he's when he gets in front, he normally just pulls away. However, getting in front, it's very clean, clinical overtakes, and he's going to be trying to do the same here. Going to be wanting to try and keep it within that second barrier so that he can try and get that slipstream making his way down the Duttinger, and he's well within that now, just 7/10 separating him from Nanzavano in the Mecca Esports car just up ahead as they make their way over the jump and into the Stefan Beloff S's. This isn't the Stefan Beloff S's, this is Flansgarten, sorry, before making your way to the Stefan Beloff S's. And then just 4 more corners after that before they're onto the Duttinger and the main overtaking place on the entire circuit.
Yeah. You can see the amount of work that Luke is doing behind the wheel here. He would potentially be feathering the throttle through Stefan Beloff S as well, so not easy. Oof, as we hear a big crunch as he hits the curb on the inside as he goes towards the Kleiner carousel, and he bottoms out the car again. I think these guys are really struggling with the changes that have happened to the Cup car, and I also understand similar changes have happened to the 911 RSR as well, where they found that they can get a condition where if you brake hard enough, the front of the car actually bottoms out on the splitter, so it actually then reduces the amount of grip that you have under braking as the front of the car takes some of the weight, rather than that weight being transferred through the tyres and into the road that way. We now ride on board with Derrick Rudenberg, who got a little bit caught up at the start of the race, so he's now sitting in 4th place overall, and right tucked under the rear wing of Pete Plastow, foot flat to the floor. Well, as I say that, he lifts off through Tiergarten and on the run down to Hohenrhein. And then he'll be looking for a move down into the first corner of the Grand Prix loop and through the Haug Hook.
Nice coming out.
Sorry, carry on, Isaac.
Coming out of the final corner, not close enough to be able to make a move on Peter Plastow, just up ahead of him. Should have gone for it when he had the chance down at the end of the Duttinger. Now he's going to have to sit behind him through the rest of the GP section unless he's close enough to make an overtake. However, both drivers run very deep. Derrick Rudenberg also much, and then we see look like Peter Plastow just losing control of his car then as Will Money makes his way past Nils Leppers up into second place of the AM competitors, and with a 5-second gap up to Derrick Rudenberg up ahead. He's going to be all eyes forward, head down to try and close that gap up and possibly challenge for an AM win if he's able to do so.
Yeah, fantastic work again by Will Money. He hasn't managed to, hasn't been able to turn up to every single round, but the rounds that he does turn up to, he does a decent job. So we'll now look back at a replay of, unfortunately, Tom Goss getting it a little bit wrong on the opening lap on Dennis Pickbrenner as they go through the cut through onto the Nordschleife for the first time, and bits of contact from Pete Plastow, and I think that was also Kevin Vermont that he made contact with on either side. Not Pickbrenner's fault there, and Tom Voss has already apologised. The hot and angry Dutchman has calmed down a little bit and admits his fault there. Hoping to come back stronger in the next championship after a few too many mistakes. As we also look at Francois Coulet going just straight on. I think he must have missed his braking point there. The mirror goes absolutely flying off the left-hand side of the car, and it's a very sorry sight to see after a championship win. But nonetheless, good to see that he marked it up in the Nanzavano. So this is a replay of Nanzavano at Adnar Forst. I hate these type of accidents. You can see them a mile away happening. Nanza couldn't do anything. Luke couldn't do anything either without taking massively avoiding action. But an honest mistake there. And good to both the cars could continue on their way, although maybe a little bit down on top speed as a result.
Visually, both cars look fine after that accident. Like you're saying, Nanzavano, after misjudging his braking zone, did hold on to the brakes there the entire way through. Not much that he could have really done. As you can see, he's missed his brake marker, tried to keep out of the barrier, and at this point now he's on the brakes and doesn't come off of them.
He's an absolute passenger, isn't he?
Yes, nothing you could do there. And then, unfortunately, Luke Chmielowski, again, in a wrong place, wrong time, making contact with Nanzavano. But it looked fairly even door to door, so there wasn't any particular front or rear damage. And it looks like both cars are okay, and their lap times are suggesting that they are, as they're still battling onwards. As we now look forward to our fourth incident on the opening lap. Will Money being passed by the two drivers up ahead before Kevin Vermont of the Mecca Esports car rear-ending him, misjudging the braking zone again. This one a little less excusable. If you can't see the corner up ahead of you or your brake mark, you should always brake earlier than you think you have to. Maybe something that hopefully he'll have learned from after this mistake, and Will Money able to flick spin it back round and now up into fifth place behind his teammate of Derrick Rudenberg, who's currently leading the YAM cars by a considerable margin.
Yeah, doing a fantastic job, and this is just Dennis Pickbrenner at Bergwerk, running a bit too hot into there. Oh no, and catching out David Glass as well. David Glass was on the normal racing line, came around the corner, not expecting Pickbrenner to be there. That's unfortunate to see, and David unfortunately has retired from the race as a result of that damage that he had. Saw the amount of understeer there for Tom Voss, and that was his undoing at Mutkurva, and then he went on to corner before the carousel, the Caracciola carousel, which then put pay to the end of his race. Unfortunate for to see so many crashes in the final round of the championship, but nonetheless, it is unfortunately part of racing, and these drivers will learn a little bit more, and we suspect that many of them haven't done too much racing around the Nordschleife, especially in such a difficult car like this. So we go back to live action, and Nanzavano has a less than a half a second lead over Luke Chmielowski as they come up to Mutkurva for the second time round. Looks like Chmielowski's a little bit wide there. Ooh, a couple of wheels on the grass, but gets away with it this time.
These cars look like they're just going so fast as you see them sliding through the corner. That big rear wing providing a lot of downforce for the rear end of the car, but the front has got virtually nothing. So they do slide around the place. And these cars will be running a very low downforce setup as well, because it is the Nordschleife and it is so high speed as they make their way through the carousel, one of the most infamous corners in racing, as it's a very banged, tight left-hand hairpin. as we now look back from Lanzavano towards Luke Chmielowski, fellow Frenchman who is very quick and pushing to try and gain up the time that he lost in the final sector of the last lap, and he's almost pushing too hard, it looks like, as he's sending it off of every curb, and he's got another sector now to try and gain up some time before the Duttinger, however, will be his best chance to overtake. Otherwise, it's going to be another long lap before we can have another chance at challenging Lanzavano for this race 2 win.
Yeah, but we do know that one simple mistake can be all over. So, as Chmielowski's using a lot of that curb. I suspect he hasn't done, and that's a very early apex into Brunchen. So, I suspect Chmielowski is a very we know that Chmielowski is a very talented driver, sitting at 3,000 I rating, but not sure that he's done that many laps around the Nordschleife itself. I don't class myself as a specialist, but I'd certainly be taking some slightly different lines, shall we say. As Tom Voss Lanzavano kicks up a little bit of dust ahead, but now we look at Derrick Rudenberg, first time out in the championship, and it looks like for race 2 of Derrick's first round, it could be a 1-2 for Positively Racing. That would be a fantastic result for him, as he admitted in the driver's briefing he was a bit of a Nordschleife nerd, as he said. Will Money, Jacob's brother, told him about the round this evening, and jumped in the car, did a few laps, and good to go, and it's all paying dividends right now.
We're saying try to predict this 1-2 here for Positively Racing, but last time we tried to predict the result in race number 1. I said Luke Chmielowski was going to win, and he didn't make it to turn 1 without 4x. There's a little bit of commentators' curse here at ISRC TV, but Will Money is definitely pushing to try and catch up to his teammate of Derrick Rudenberg, and is about to come across the line to finish their first flying lap, so we'll be able to see an accurate representation of their pace. If my memory serves me correctly, the gap at the start of the lap was 5 seconds, and it's now down to just 1.6. So Will Money is pushing, and I doubt he's going to take it easy on his teammate and try and go for that race 2 win to seal off the championship, although not with a championship win, but with a race 1.
Yeah, I think Will be looking for another win in the bag. I am correct in saying that he has won races already this championship, right?
2 races. He won last time out at Road Atlanta and as well at Donington Park.
Very good. As they come across the line for another lap, that gap is now less than 2 seconds, down to 1.8, and Lanzavano has set the fastest lap of the race so far, so that is an 8:24.56, half a second quicker than Luke Chmielowski in second place, and no one else is in that region, the 24s, 25s, 26s or 27s. The next quickest guy on track is Peter Plastel with an 8:28.3, so fantastic showing for the Mecha Esports guys at the front, just pulling away.
I'll try to point out that Kevin Vermont technically set a faster lap time last lap with an 8:24.1. However, he got an off track on it, so it won't count as an official lap time. However, he technically did go faster.
I apologise profusely. I'm so really sorry.
It's totally fine.
I'm just looking for the purple text on my timing screen.
It's just getting back for you for all the times that I've mispronounced German corner names. But at the moment, Kevin Vermont managed to make his way past Nils Lepers, who's for 6th place. Those 2 cars out on track at the moment, and now the next car on track for Kevin Vermont is Will Money, and with a gap of just 5 seconds, however. With a gap of 6 seconds, but last time by only being 5 seconds faster last lap, he's going to have his work cut out. He could potentially catch up to the Positively Racing driver up ahead of him. However, he would have to do an absolutely sterling job to do so. And with judging from Kevin's previous performances, it's definitely not out of grasps.
Yeah, as Murray Walker used to say, catching is one thing, but passing is an entirely different ball game, or driving game as they say, or simulator as we really should say. But with that huge slipstream effect on the Dottinghoer, if Kevin can work his magic throughout the rest of the Nordschleife, then odds on you'll get another position now and a few more points for the overall championship. But if he does catch Will Money, then Derrick Rudenberg's going to be shaking in his boots as well, I reckon, because there's less than a second gap between these guys. There's a huge jump for Will Money's front axle over Flugplatz, and carries a lot more speed around cities on the way down to Schwedenkreuz. The slipstream coming into a huge effect here, but from what I understand, Derrick's quite an experienced racer as well, with the Positively Racing guys, and yeah, doing a fantastic job at the moment as they head down the Fuchsrohr towards Metzgerfeld. Sorry, Ardnar Foss next, and then on to Metzgerfeld thereafter.
So as you were saying, just half a lap to go now for this Positively Racing duos. Will Money is all over the rear end of his teammate Derrick Rudenberg, who's on his maiden voyage in the ISRPC Championship, and just behind both of these guys, with just at 4.8 seconds now, Kevin Vermont. We can see him just in the back of shot there, closing up as quickly as he can. And if Will Money starts battling Derrick and Derrick puts up a fight, that's going to all play into the hands of Kevin Vermont, and just 2 seconds behind him, Nils Lepers. So it's not close on track at the moment, but by my reckoning, as Kevin Vermont takes another 2 tenths out of these two drivers, it's definitely going to be close. And yeah, I'm going to be keeping a keen eye on the timing screens to see if Kevin's going to be close enough to challenge. And if these two carry on the way that they are at the moment, it looks like he will be all over the rear end of them come the Dottinghoer.
Yeah, just looking at the championship standings coming into the round, Will Money was 12 points ahead of Kevin Vermont in the overall championship, so he's done a fantastic job to do that throughout the 8 rounds that we've had. But I think with the results from race 1 going the way of Vermont, that with the 2nd place rather than the 7th place with Will Money, that Vermont will be ahead right now. But then again, there's that all-important drop round that will definitely come into play this evening.
Yeah, it's a spanner in the works for us, trying to figure out who's won the championship. However, we can confirm who finished where the championship. We can confirm that Nanzavano and Francois Coulet have both won their respective championships. However, Kevin Vermont, like you were saying, will be trying the hardest he can to make his way past Will Money, who is just up the road, 2.3 seconds now. A third of the track to go before the Dottinghoer, and he's got to get within 1.2 seconds. If the gap's 2 seconds at the moment, look at this. You can visibly see the gap closing up on track at the moment. And I said at the beginning of the lap, he might make it by. I changed my mind. He's going to be on their rear end. 1.2 seconds is the gap now, and they're not even at the carousel at the moment. This is going to shape up to be an incredible battle between these two drivers coming into the final sector of the lap. And yeah, it's definitely the pro driver is going to be all over the rear end of these AM cars, and he is a ruthless driver at that, and expect to see some incredible overtakes, Kevin Estra-like. So let's hope that his namesake can provide some interesting racing.
Yeah, some fantastic shots from the back of Derrick's car here as Will Money climbed out of the carousel, that front right corner getting air, and well, probably the whole car at some point getting air, as that flat 6 boxer engine powers him out off the concrete and back onto the tarmac after a little flight. But yeah, as you say, that is coming down visibly, and coming down visibly incredibly fast. Don't think he's going to need a slipstream at this rate, as Will Money has a little lock up. So head towards Brunchen, over the crest at Brunchen, and towards Flansgarten now.
The best thing
Go on.
Otherwise, the best thing that Kevin can do at this point is not actually pass either of these drivers. He wants to try and sit behind them as much as he can as he gets too much curb.
He's hit the wall. He's hit the wall twice.
It takes too much curb going into the compression, and yeah, that's put an end to his race prematurely as he then goes and gets passed by Nurburgring, slightly too far over to the left on the jump, landed on the curb, and that has sent his car into the left-hand side wall. Nothing he could do, just a passenger once he went over the crest. Will Money will be cackling to himself now, as all that he's got to try and do is pass his teammate of Derrick Rudenberg, but just with, 5 corners left to go now, Rudenberg is going to be defending like a madman in his best attempts to hold his teammate just behind him. And before we get onto the Duttingher now, we're going to see who's going to get the best exit. It looks like Derrick Rudenberg's got good exit, and he definitely has. Will Money is definitely in that slipstream range though, so I'm now going to see how many times is Derrick Rudenberg going to move from left to right. I reckon 3 times. Here we go, he's starting on the right hand side of the track. Not moved over yet actually, so okay, never mind. If I was him, I'd be left to right all over the track trying to break that slipstream, but maybe there's a bit more respect between these two teammates than we first anticipated. As we now look at our leader, Nanzivano, after qualifying on pole position for race number 1, then managing to come through and win race 2 from 5th on the grid. Epic drive from himself. As we go back to this battle, Will Money trying up the inside of his teammate Rudenberg, going into the final corners, and he's able to do it. Up into Flatsgarten on the final lap of the race. Will Money will come through the final corner to win his final race of the ISRPC Championship in the AM category, with Derrick Rudenberg just behind with a 1-2 for Positively Racing.
Yeah, fantastic scenes as they come across the line there. I'm sure they'll get the old screen capture out and take some shots for their teammates as Niels Leppers crosses the line, and Kevin Vermont for Mecha Esport as well. Oof, those sad-looking poppy ears almost of those mirrors on either side of Vermont's car there, and customary donuts for the end of the championship. Fantastic to see everyone's had a good time, and unfortunately we had David Glass leave the session a little bit earlier than he planned, but he popped in the chat that thanks to organisers, stewards and commentators, looking forward to another season of ISRPC, or whatever form it may come in.
We've dabbled, we've conversed both in the commentary box and between the organisers about perhaps changing up cars that the championship should be running, and I think it's going to be a question I'm going to ask anybody who decides to venture in for an interview is, what car would you want it to be running? If I was going to be running in this championship, to be honest with you, I'd want the new GT3R. It's an incredible car to drive, and I think some sprint races and that would be awesome. Martin, if you could choose any car, what would you be? What would you choose for our 2 20-minute races?
I haven't driven the new 911 GT3 car yet, but I've bought it and it's ready to go. It's in the garage warming up. The oil temperature is nearly good to go. Right, so we'll just have a quick look at the final results for our final race of the championship, and we have Nanzivano taking out the overall championship and the final race win with of Mecha Esports for Mecha Esports, and Luke Chmielewski behind him, just 2.5 seconds lead for the Mecha Esports driver over Luke Chmielewski of Lithium Motorsports. Peter Plastow came through in 3rd position, another good finish for him on the podium. Will Money, as we saw that last lap overtake, or last corner overtake for Positively Racing, just pipping Derrick Rudenberg to the end. Derrick doing a fantastic job this evening in his first appearance and on such a fantastic track as well. Niels Leppers comes home in the 3rd position for the AM podium. Kevin Vermont takes 7th overall for Mecha Esports. Dennis Pickbrenner for German Sim Racing Friends a lap down. David Glass, Francois Coulet and Tom Voss all unable to finish, unfortunately.
Yeah, for Martin for giving us that post-race rundown, as we're going to pull into the commentary booth our winner of the race, Will Money. Congratulations on your win of race 2 of round 8 of the Porsche ISRPC. That was a bit of a mouthful there, but congratulations.
Cheers. Thank you very much. That was a lot of fun.
It definitely looked on that final lap there. You're battling with your teammate Derrick Rudenberg. You're able to pass on the final into the final set of corners, and then just behind you as well, you had Kevin Vermont, who was getting big in your rearview mirror, and then unfortunately lost it. Going over Flandersgarten on that final lap. What were you thinking? Were you focused on just trying to get past Derrick, or were you wondering how you're going to defend from the incredibly quick Kevin Vermont just behind you?
I was actually just going to let him go. And then I saw he had the incident, so then all attention went on to Derrick to try and get him down the back straight. It was quite difficult. I had quite a bit of damage, I think, on the rear. It definitely felt like it had no straight line speed. I was struggling to catch anyone in the toe as well. But no, it was good fun. Shame about the race one. I think it could have been a much better, cleaner start. But it's racing. It happens. So, but yeah, thanks very much for putting on this championship. It's been great fun. I look forward to any future ones with the Porsche. It's been a lot of fun to drive.
Excellent. Well, we're glad to hear that, and it was our pleasure putting it on for you. We've spoken openly in the commentary box about considering doing a different car in a sprint series for another championship. If you could have a sprint series in any car in the iRacing service, what car would you want it to be in for 2 20-minute races?
Oh, that's put me on the spot. I'm not really sure. I mean, this was the first time I've really driven the Porsche properly, and I've absolutely loved it. And I think it's a great little car for 20-minute races. I am looking for a single-seater series, which would be kind of similar 20-minute races. But apart from that, I wouldn't know where to go with a tin top car.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So maybe something Formula. Here's what I was thinking. The look on Martin's face is he doesn't like the idea of that. But I'll hand over to you, Martin, so you can see if you've got any questions to hand over to Will there.
Yeah, so it was good to see Derrick come along. You guys run the VLN series at all, or he says he's a bit of a self-confessed Nordschleife nerd, I think is what he said earlier.
Yeah, some of us do now and then. I haven't had a chance to recently, just been too busy with getting back to work and other things going on in life. I think Derrick may have done one a few weeks back. I know we definitely all did the N24, and we were in the GT3 for that one. But I think if I do the VLN, I'll probably do it in the Porsche. And Derrick absolutely loves the Nurburgring. So as soon as he saw this was next, he asked me if he could enter. I think he contacted you guys to see if he could race in this one.
Yeah, and we're always happy to see more cars out on track, and allow everyone to enjoy the series and the organisation that we put on. My mind's gone completely blank. So for Positively Racing, what's next up for you guys then? Looking at special events, you looking at other things?
I think based on the season 3 announcement that there could be the official endurance thing for 24 hours. I think some people are looking at the 24 of Le Mans. Unfortunately, I'm not available for that one, so I'm going to have to miss. I think the only one I might be able to do is the Silverstone one later in the year. But yeah, I think Le Mans, and I think a few of them are doing the Watkins Glen 6 hour next weekend, I believe that is. Or is it this weekend? Next weekend, isn't it?
Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll have to take your word for it. Oh, very good. We'll let you go, and thanks for coming along, and make sure you get a few screenshots of both your cars together out on track. I'm sure they look quite good on stream right now.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Will. Best luck with all your future efforts. So that was Will Money from Positively Racing. As we pull into the commentary box, David Glass. David, you joined late into the championship, just 3 rounds to go, and unfortunately, you didn't. You seem to just get bad luck in all of those races. It seems like, but you did also get involved in some very good battles, both here at the Nords and then also last time out at Road Atlanta. And how have you found the series, with the exception of some unfortunate incidents such as the one that we're showing on stream right now?
Yeah, I really liked it. I hope it gets another one. If it's another car, I hope it's tin top. But yeah, the Radical also seems fun.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Radicals are something that we've actually thought of. So my cogs are turning now, and I'm a fan of I'm a fan of the Radical. And I've just got one more question for you for myself. Is that I noticed on your car you're running a food-based livery. Is that your profession? Are you a chef yourself, or is that just a team livery?
No, it's my profession. I work in the kitchen, and that's why I do this one and not the endurance one, because this is my day off.
Oh well, it's good to hear. And as a fellow kitchen person, yeah.
Isaac washes the dishes, by the way.
Hey! I cooked some food earlier. I made a burger.
We need some personnel. So if you want.
Oh, so if it's all right. So would you pay for transport over to the Netherlands or?
No. You have to pay that for yourself. We can have a bed for you, but
I could swim over to work every morning from the United Kingdom over to the Netherlands. So that's all the questions from myself. Martin, if you've got anything you'd ask David.
So the only one I can think of at the moment. Yeah. If it had to be a tin top car, and that's where I'm heading, I'll be honest on this sort of thing. What would you reckon it would be on season 2 of a sprint championship?
For a sprint championship, I would go with TCR. Personally.
TCR, very good.
Yeah, I liked also the BTCC races. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the BTCC races are very good and they are very entertaining. Do you have a livery lined up for the TCR, or would you have to make it yourself?
No, I would make another one. We did. I made a 24-hour one for DC Sim Racing, but I will make another one for myself then.
Oh, fantastic stuff. We're glad that you've enjoyed the championship. Sorry to see it not go the way you'd hope, but I hope you've enjoyed the organisation and the good battles that you've had on track.
Yeah, I did. Thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah, and we're honoured that you spend your day off, your evening off with us. It's fantastic.
You too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Enjoy spending it with you guys as well. So thank you very much, David. We'll let you step away and have the rest of the evening to yourself before you get back off to work tomorrow. So thank you very much for spending your time with us today, and we will be first let you know if we decide to go through the championship and what cars we'll be doing that in.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you. So that was David Glass from Privateer team.
DC Sim Racing.
DC Sim Racing.
I think he does his endurance racing with DC Sim Racing as well.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. So I don't know what we do now. Wrapping up the
we don't have a calendar because we've been so focused on the endurance race that's coming up this weekend and making sure that goes ahead as smooth as silk. We clearly haven't decided what car it's going to be in. So watch this space. Join the Discord in the link below and stay tuned is all we can say, really.
Exactly. So we've got not much more to plug. If you guys want to get involved in some stuff which ISRC run, we do an endurance championship. The next round of which is this weekend at Imola, and then we'll be running roughly every month on the second weekend of every month roughly for the next 7 months. With a series of 6, 8, and 12-hour races in the LMP1, GTE, and LMP2 category. So if you guys want to get involved, join the link in the description where you can find a link to the sign-up form and our full calendar. Otherwise, from myself here at ISRC TV, Martin and Vincent, thank you all very much for watching, and we will catch you guys next time out. I don't know where or when, but we will most definitely let you guys know when we're back out on stream. And catch you again next time, guys. Thank you.